You know what? We basically have two countries that have been fighting so long and so hard that they don't know what the they're doing. Do you understand that?
President Trump talking about the conflict between Israel and Iran as a ceasefire deal hangs by a thread.
And we're expecting to get final answers today on what went wrong when a door plug blew out of an Alaska Airlines flight over Portland a year and a half.
And we're also talking about the Blazers. The NBA draft is tomorrow night, but the team already making some big moves, trading away guard Anthony Simons. We're going to fill you in on the two-time NBA champion and All-Star that's headed here in return as the 6 o'clock hour of Sunrise starts right now.
Good morning, and thank you for joining us on your Tuesday. I'm China Green.
And I'm Drew Carney. Lots to get to this morning, but we will go no further without checking in with Rodney Hill. Rod, what do you have for the 6 o'clock forecast?
Well, for the most part, another nice day coming up. Now, there are some changes, and change number one is the low clouds you see in Lincoln City. The fact that the coast may not see the sun today. You're at 54 right now. If you stay cloudy, your highs will be 60, 62. Here's a look at a sunny start over Portland. Now, the data I look at as a forecaster says we're just going to stay sunny this morning, but there are clouds up to our north, so I'm watching low cloud patterns. We're at 60. Overall, though, this is a nice day. We'll have a good bit of sunshine into the afternoon hours, 69 degrees at noon, and then cloudiness coming in later today, but we'll stay dry, and I have a high temperature of 83 degrees for your Tuesday.
And a heads up for drivers this Sunday, the Hawthorne Bridge will be closed to all vehicles, pedestrians and cyclists from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. So expect some lane closures on the bridge throughout the week as crews prepare for Sunday's maintenance work.
Top story here at 6 o'clock. In less than 30 minutes, a hearing into what went wrong when an Alaska Airlines door plug blowout happened over Portland nearly a year and a half ago. The
blowout happened on January 5th of last year, 16,000 feet above the ground shortly after the flight left Portland. Sunrise reporter Thomas Schultz joins us in the studio. So, Thomas, what else can we expect today?
Well, Drew and China, along with what went wrong, we may learn who is to blame for that door plug blowout. 8 people on flight suffered minor injuries. One passenger's shirt was actually ripped off his body by the force of the wind. Boeing has been under increased scrutiny since this happened. In a preliminary report, NTSB investigators found 4 retaining bolts to hold the door in place were missing after the aircraft underwent repair work at a Boeing factory in Washington. A flurry of lawsuits were filed against the company from passengers injured or scarred from the experience, sparking swift change from Boeing. Boeing says it's elevated safety, invested in more training, and simplified manufacturing processes to eliminate defects. Still, in January, a year after this door plug blowout, our sister station in Seattle reported union leaders for Boeing believe there were few tangible changes to the policies.
When I hear these metrics and we're going to do this, that, or the other, without that infrastructure, those are the words coming from the top.
In today's meeting, we expect to hear NTSB's safety recommendations to prevent something like this from ever happening again. That meeting starts in just half an hour. I'll be tuning in to bring you all the latest throughout the morning. Drew?
Thomas Schultz with the latest on that story for us. Meanwhile, we also have an update on a story we talked about last Friday. Police say they've arrested the man who's accused of shooting at officers and leading them on a chase late last week in southeast Portland. So the man's name is one of the most memorable details of the story. He goes by Looney Tune. U.S. Marshals found Tune in Sandy yesterday afternoon and called in the SWAT team to help arrest him. Last Friday, Milwaukee police say they tried to pull him over, but instead they say he ran into a patrol car and then took off, firing shots at officers while they chased him. Tune already had an outstanding warrant. His new charges include attempted murder.
A bank in Clackamas is dealing with quite a bit of damage after a thief used an excavator to rip out a drive-through ATM and steal the cash inside. It turns out the excavator was stolen from a construction site near the U.S. Bank on Sunnyside. The construction company says the thief has to have some sort of experience, otherwise they wouldn't have been able to turn it on or use it. And now it's dealing with damaged excavator and a shut-down work site.
Yeah, we're definitely behind not only with the schedule, but just with the equipment costs and the replacement that it's going to be to get a new piece of equipment in.
And we're working to find out if the sheriff's office has a suspect or suspects.
The Bird Alliance of Oregon says it's seeing a surge in injured animals. So because of capacity issues, the Alliance is temporarily reducing intake hours at its wildlife care center. The new hours are 1 to 5 p.m. instead of the usual 9 to 5. If you find an animal outside of those intake hours, you can call the wildlife hotline.
But we have folks working up to 12, even more hours a day, answering and returning those calls as soon as possible. So usually within the hour or less. And we'll give you more instructions on how to best set those animals up. And there's also a lot of information on the website about what to do if you find an animal.
They can't pinpoint exactly why there's been an increase in injured animals, but the Bird Alliance did say that spring and summer are usually their two busiest seasons.
The Pac-12 just announced its first big TV deal. Starting next year, the conference will team up with CBS Sports for a 5-year deal. CBS will carry both the Pac-12 football and men's basketball championship games, along with regular season games on its cable sports network and Paramount Plus. The conference is talking to other networks as well, but this is one of the most important steps to rebuilding the conference, which was left with just Oregon State and Washington State after 10 schools left the conference last summer. Since then, the Pac-12 has added 5 football schools plus Gonzaga, and the conference must still add 1 more football school to qualify as a football conference.
Biggest sports headline this morning involves the Blazers. According to ESPN, the Trailblazers are trading Anthony Simons to the Boston Celtics. In exchange, the Blazers will get this guy, 2-time All-Star and 2-time NBA champ, Drew Holiday. Weirdly enough, Holiday was part of the Damian Lillard trade to Milwaukee 2 years ago, but instead of coming here to Portland, he was immediately dealt by the Blazers to Boston. As part of the Simons trade, the Blazers will also give up 2 future second-round picks to the Celtics. Simons, by the way, has been here since the Blazers drafted him in 2018, averaging close to 20 points a game the past 4 seasons. We'll have to see if the team makes any more moves before tomorrow's draft. We know that right now they hold the 11th pick in the first round. Rod, I know you have a lot of respect for the Boston Celtics.
Yeah.
You were questioning how they could possibly make a bad move, but they are in a weird situation with Jason Tatum out for next year with that bad injury. They're kind of in a wait and hold year. So people are saying that they're not really going for it next year, and maybe that's why they were willing to give up Drew Holiday.
We're definitely getting a good player, no doubt about
sure.
that, right? Always kind of sad to lose one of our draft picks who's turned out to be a really good player, but that's the way it goes. Here's the Chehalem Tasting Room camera on a Tuesday, and this is gorgeous. Obviously, the rising sun on the left and the vineyard there in the foreground, and just kind of storybook stuff there. 55 degrees, gorgeous morning. Here is Lewis River Golf Course. This warms my heart because I love playing first thing in the morning, and there's some people on the first tee and the rising sun. That's up along the Lewis River in Woodland. So a beautiful morning there. And it also is evidence that the cloudiness I've been talking about that's farther north up into Kelso Longview has not even come down into Woodland. So if the data I look at is correct, a lot of us are just going to keep the sun all morning, and then we'll see increasing cloudiness later today and really just a nice day coming. It is overcast up in Kelso, 56. It is overcast up and down the coast. Astoria's at 55. But other than that, it's pretty much being reported as sunny. 48 in Bend this morning, 50 degrees out in John Day. The Gorge forecast, I made such a big deal yesterday of telling you everybody had light winds. That's the case again today, except for this afternoon in the Gorge, where westerlies are expected to pick back up. Not overly windy, but noticeable breezes bouncing 10 to 25 miles per hour. Notice you folks, the Dalles will get up to 90 today. The Hood River area up to about 84. We also expect some 90-degree temperatures out in Pendleton. So here's that little hot stretch from Wasco County out through the Columbia Basin. 83 in John Day, 86 in Madras today, 80s up and down I-5, and then the solid cloud deck expected along the coast, holding temperatures closer to 60. Here's our 7-day. We'll go 83. Enjoy the warmth because we get into gray skies the next couple days with cloudy conditions, temperatures that may not make it to 70. Each day could have a trace of moisture out of the low cloud deck at some point. Friday, we get the sun back, and then I still am projecting a warm weekend. 82 Saturday, 86 Sunday. I do have a 92 back on the board. If we make it on Monday, that would be the third 90-degree temperature of 2025 here in the Rose City. Back to you.